Hello, everyone. My name's Richard Hansen. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my portfolio. Uh, so, where to start? So, basically, I was gonna do the project option, but because of coronavirus and I had a lot of people drop out of my study, Dr. Schuler was nice enough to let me switch to the portfolio option this semester. So, if my portfolio doesn't look as robust as everyone else's, that might be why. But I chose to do it on my pet fish, spicy tuna. He is pretty cool. He's a tiger Oscar. He's 3 years old. And I decided that I wanted to teach him how to swim through a hoop. Um, I noticed that he is really observant. I'm pretty sure he's very trainable. He'll follow me around the room. If anybody wants to come check out my site and watch these videos, go ahead. That would bring me a lot of joy. But basically, I decided that if I'm going to train him, I should probably do a preference assessment. So that's where I started. I kind of knew what food he preferred the most. I have different types. I've got like these larger pellets, these small pellets, and these like dried insects. It's pretty gross, but I know he likes the dried insects the best. But I figured I would prove it. So I did a sort of paired stimulus preference assessment. I got these floating rings off Amazon, and I wish they were the same shape, but they're not. But nonetheless, I put them and they're floating in the tank, and then I would add two types of food at the same time and record which one he chose, and then clean it all out and represent another trial, alternating the food and alternating the sides. We can watch a little bit here. You'll see I'm tapping on the glass for him to orient to the food. And then I pour some in. And he makes a choice, swims away. I would record that. Here's another angle from the top. I put the food in. He's right here. It's hard to see. And again, he chooses one and swims away. And I went on like this for multiple trials. Here it is again. And most of these, he's choosing the dried insects. I did notice, and it's an interesting point for discussion, the very last video trial I have here, he swims up, he chooses one, the small pellets, he swims down here, and then he spits them back out. So that's interesting. I still called it a plus because he approached them and he took the pellets. But, what would you do if one of your students like chose an edible and then didn't want it? Is that a plus? Is it not? So anyway, again, so I decided to use dried insects as my preferred reinforcer, and then I would feed him his regular food that I know he will eat like the rest of the time, but save the dried insects for training sessions. Then I noticed that he was engaging in this odd behavior when I turned on the light, the fluorescent light in his tank, and he would aggress towards the one side of the tank rather than the other, which kind of became problematic because I need the light on to like film him for this project. And I'm going to speed this up a little bit, but as you can see, hopefully you can see, I'm not sure. He's just kind of floating around doing nothing. He's fine. And then I go to turn the light on. And within a few seconds of turning the light on, the first time there's a higher latency, but he ends up aggressing towards this side of the tank. And then he won't attend to some trials I'm trying to run, or if I want to feed him, he's kind of like preoccupied with this. I turn the light off, he calms back down. He doesn't engage in aggression again until I turn the light back on. And again, he begins this aggression thing. So a sort of natural reversal design with the on-off light. I added a tissue paper, like from wrapping presents, on the side of his tank here, because I hypothesized that it's probably a reflection of the glass. He's an aggressive fish. He probably thinks there's another fish there. And with this tissue paper on, his aggression went to 0. You can see the light's off, the light's on. We just watched this, actually. He aggressed here, the light was off, light turned back on, and he was aggressing again. I added the tissue paper. We won't watch this whole thing, but basically with the tissue paper on, he no longer engages in aggression. So pretty cool. If anybody else has a similar issue, can look into that, I suppose. And as you can see, I turn on the light and he doesn't aggress. So pretty cool. We can use ABA for all sorts of stuff. And again, the aggression's not present with the tissue paper on the tank. So after that, I decided to focus on swimming through a hoop. But first, I had to teach him to follow a stimulus. So my plan was to have a hoop, and then I would have to train him to follow a pointer so that I could teach him to swim through the hoop, and then eventually fade out the pointer and just have the presentation of the hoop evoke swimming through the hoop for food. So I had to train him kind of with a pointer, shaping it smaller distances into larger distances until he could swim across the whole tank. And then that leads me into training him to swim through a hoop here. Basically, I used a coat hanger. It's kind of haggard, but that's all I had. And it was round on the edges. The sharp part's not in the tank, so he's fine. And basically, I don't know why this picture's not showing up right now, but it was 12 inches, and then I reduced it to 9. This is the 9-inch hoop here, and then 6 inches, and we made it down to 4 inches. But responding's actually not going too well right now, and I plan to continue this on after the semester's over, just because I love my fish, and I think it'd be really cool and a party trick and stuff to have him swim through a hoop on command. But it started out really well. Baseline here, I added the hoop. He didn't swim through it at all. And then I introduced the hoop with the food on some tongs, and immediately he was able to swim through the hoop. And again, this is a 12-inch hoop here, so pretty large. The tank, it almost takes up the entire width of the tank, so it'd be kind of hard for him to avoid swimming through it actually, but a nice easy response effort. Actually, I could talk about this for a while, but I kind of goofed up in these first couple sessions because he didn't really swim through the hoop all the way before I gave him the reinforcement. He kind of only swam halfway there again. I fixed that later on, but basically as we go through, I moved down to a 9-inch hoop and then a 6-inch hoop here. Again, a 6-inch hoop. So slightly smaller, about half the size of the first one now. Still looks pretty big, but he's a pretty big fish. Same type of thing, trying to get him used to swimming through it. Here's a side view. Apologize about the tank being kind of gross looking in these, by the way. The sun's coming through my kitchen light, and I'm having a bit of like a algae bloom. So he swims through just like that. As you can see, this 4-inch hoop is actually pretty small compared to his body size. And after this session, or a few sessions after this, I began to get worried that he's probably just swimming after the food and that the hoop isn't really under any sort of stimulus control. So I started fading out the hoop. I'm not fading out the hoop, taking out the hoop between trials to hopefully kind of like, oh, look, the hoop is coming in. Now I swim through the hoop type thing, like that stimulus control transfer. And I think that totally goofed him up. I definitely did it too soon. My mastery criteria was going to be 2 times at 100, and I switched after 1 time at 100 and we reduced. And then I switched another thing, which is the hoop removal here, and we're not doing too well right now. So my next step is going back to the 6-inch hoop, this step here, with the hoop in the water the whole time, and getting back to a steady state of high responding, and then probably removing the hoop after every trial at the 6-inch size, and then going down from there. But yeah, I mean, that kind of sums it up. Hopefully you guys will come check it out. Train your own fish or other animals you have at home. Leave me some comments what you think I should try next, or if you have any ideas about how to help train him to swim through the hoop better, or to get the hoop to come under stimulus control more effectively. Anything like that would be pretty cool. But yeah, thanks guys. Good luck on your BCBA exam.